Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
That sound means it's time for a Cavs on the Break NBA podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, he covers your Cleveland Cavaliers for Sports Illustrated, the one, the only Sam Amico. Sam, it is great to record with you again, brother.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Exciting time of year. About as exciting as it's going to get for the Cavs, sadly, this season. But here we are.
So our last episode was during week's slate 6. At the time, the Cavs were 4-2, and we weren't sure what impending doom was ahead of us. But oh boy, were there things ahead of us. Now the Cavs are 13-39. We went through Love pouting. We went through Sluggate. We went through Beeline's growing pains. We're still going through that. Sam, what a couple months for the Cavs. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, when we talked early in the season, I think a big part of that was the fact that they were playing with grit, determination.
Defense was not as suspect. I mean, their defense was better.
The defense was definitely better, and that's because they were just playing with more determination at that end. And, they were historically bad last season on defense. They seemed like they were making progress right away, and then all of a sudden everything kind of went in the tank. And it's been ugly. And they'll have nights like they had against Oklahoma City, where they play very well, and show that type of promise. And then they'll have nights, where they're getting blown out by the injury-prone and terrible Golden State Warriors at home, and the Wizards at home, and the Knicks at home. And it's
been rough.
There's just no consistency in their effort, especially on the defensive end. Offensively, they're always okay, but defensively, you just don't know what you're going to get from them from night to night.
So bad. Let's turn our attention. We'll talk about more of the Cavs team in general here in a moment. We're going to do a state of the team address. We'll talk about All-Star break, all that. But right now, Sam, let's talk about the trade deadline. Not a lot of action for the Cavs. Is that surprising?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, yes, in the sense that, Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. Now, we could go over the reasons why teams don't necessarily want Kevin Love, the injury history, the 3 years and $90 million left on the contract, the age at 31, the fact that he's not viewed as a player who's going to put an opponent over the top. So the Cavs won't get the kind of, blow our doors off offer for him that they normally would have gotten. So there's that with Kevin Love. Tristan Thompson, I'm a little surprised. We've heard because he has an expiring contract, he's a hustle player. He does play good defense, and he's a guy who can fit next to team stars and provide the endless type of energy that he does, and offensive rebounding, keeping possessions alive. You saw how valuable he was next to Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and obviously LeBron James in 2016. He could provide that for somebody like the Houston Rockets, Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers. Any of those contenders that could use that type of gritty big man. I'm surprised a little bit that we haven't heard more of Tristan, yes, and or more about him in terms of teams really going after him, especially since he has an expiring contract on top of all that. So
that and the team kept him out of the game. So you're thinking, oh, they're keeping him out so they can trade him, and nothing happened. There was a report that they were looking for a first-round pick. Sam, is that kind of what you were hearing, that they were maybe asking a little bit too much in return for Tristan?
Yeah, I think you start high, and that's okay. The trade deadline's at 3 p.m. Thursday, and I think you aim high. And they probably they're asking for a first-round pick. They're going to obviously have to take back salary. I don't know whether they may even be asking for a first-round pick, a young player, and some salary. And then, they find out at 2:00 Eastern tomorrow that's not what they're going to get. So they lower their offer or whatever. But I would still be surprised if Tristan is in Cleveland after the trade deadline. I just think at some point the Cavs are going to say, you know what, this is the best we can get, and they're going to move him. And I think that they will get, some kind of offer for him. That's not going to be terrible. It's just not going to be uh, a great offer, I don't think. I just don't think the Cavs are in any sort of position to take a great offer back from Tristan, because everybody knows, well, don't trade him to us and then lose him at the end of the season for nothing. If you haven't sat down and talked extension by now, you're probably not gonna. So I just think that I think that they're aiming high right now, as they should. Kobe Altman's aiming high, and then at some point you settle on a deal right before the deadline.
So if you're listening to this on Thursday, February 6th, the trade deadline is at 3 p.m. As of now, we're recording a Wednesday night. Cavs have not been involved in many trades. Sam, you are expecting Tristan to be moved before the trade deadline. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am. I think that the Cavs know, I've seen it out there that, well, the Cavs are open to re-signing him. Well, of course they are, but I don't think that they're going to want to pay him what they paid him in this last contract, where he's, making $18 million a year. And I think that somebody will come closer to paying Tristan what he's, what he feels like he wants to get in free agency. So basically, a long story short, I think the Cavs, if they don't trade him, run the risk of losing him for nothing, a huge risk of losing him for nothing at the end of the season. So I think that you have to move him, and you've got to take the best offer that you can, that you get, because otherwise you get zilch. I think that there was a point this year where Tristan and Rich Paul were very open to returning, in Cleveland and re-signing or signing an extension. But I think that point is past, and they're probably looking to move on.
Yeah, I don't expect him to stay in Cleveland. I expect him to be moved. And I think they'll get a first round for him. I really do. I think what he offers, and I think a team will be desperate enough. It won't be a good pick because they'll go to a team that will go pretty deep. Sam, are there any players on the Cavs that are untouchable? I can think of maybe two, and that would be it. I don't know who would. The two I would say are Garland and Kevin Porter Jr. I would say it about everyone else is touchable. I mean, who would you say is untouchable for the Cavs roster right now?
First of all, I don't think anyone should be. I don't think that there's anybody here that says, you've got to hang on to this guy.
Yeah.
But I would agree with you that if you do have untouchables, or if the Cavs do, I would say the two would be Garland and Porter Jr. at this point, because those are the two guys that you're looking at that are 19, 20 years old, that you're looking at as we're hoping if Sexton doesn't work out, these two guys are our backcourt of the future. You hope that you've done that. But I think that you get enough for anybody. You can move them. You're 13 and 39. You've regressed since the beginning of the year, Chase. That's the thing, is they've regressed. And, I think with Porter, and Porter's playing well, don't get me wrong. Garland's doing okay. I think Garland, I asked John Beeline if Garland had hit a rookie wall, and he said, well, I don't believe in him. I don't believe in rookie walls, but, I think he looks fatigued, and that's not surprising. He had to have a night off, a couple days off, because he's fatigued. He played 5 games in college last year as a freshman. So I think that, you can't read too much into if Garland is struggling or not as productive. And he's obviously a rookie in terms of defense, and most rookies are bad on defense. So, I think that you're willing to ride out Garland and Porter Jr. But again, if you get the right kind of deal, which you won't get a good deal, I don't think, for any of those guys. You're going to end up hanging on to them.
Yeah, we'll talk about the team and Sexton, at large in a few moments. Sam, how much is the 2021 draft playing into this trade deadline, Cavs are the future team. I mean, obviously they have the second worst record in the league. Really, almost could be the worst record. The Warriors have, I think, one less win. The Cavs are, again, another lottery season. How much are they looking ahead to this draft with this trade deadline right now?
I think quite a bit. I think that, you want to get more young players, and you don't have to pay these huge salaries. They're going to have to pay somebody next year. They can't, because there's talk, well, maybe they'll trade Love after the season, but they're going to have to take back some salary because there is a salary cap floor that you can't go below. But the point is, I think that, yes, they want to get more rookies, get younger. They're in asset accumulation mode, Chase. I mean, they want to find young players that they hope and get as many as they can and hope that somebody hits and hopes that somebody looks like the next, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis. They want to find that type of guy in the draft where maybe he's not going into the draft that, supposed to be this great player, but the more opportunity you give yourself to find those draft picks and young players, the more chance you have to hit. So, yeah, they're valuing draft picks and particularly first round picks, and they'll take second rounders because, look, they traded second rounders last year to move up to 30 to get Kevin Porter Jr. So, that's where they are. They what choice do they have right now other than to get as many draft picks, get as many young players as they can, and hope that they hit on something.
Yeah. Are you hearing anything else from any other players, Chetty Osman? I mean, any other players getting any interest at all, or is it just really Tristan Thompson?
No, I think that the other what we're hearing is Tristan. That's out there. Kevin Love, we've heard, probably won't be moved. But I think that we have to consider, a couple years ago when LeBron James was still on the team with the 2018 season, I think the night before the draft, Chase, we all thought that they weren't going to make any moves at all. And that was the day that, the next day, Kobe Altman totally blew up the roster, trading Isaiah Thomas, trading Derrick Rose, trading Dwayne Wade, getting Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson. And, nobody saw that coming. But from like 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., Kobe Altman totally blew up the roster with moves that not even Woj and those other guys were reporting, or saw coming. So I think that Kobe Altman has done a very good job at keeping things very close to the vest and not letting any information leak out there.
Just to
but
us.
I think they could. I think they could trade just about anybody. I really do. I don't think. Again, there's to me there's no untouchables. So I think that in the right deal and something that will excite the fan base. Because I'll tell you this, Chase, the fan base isn't excited right now. Even when they were bad the first time LeBron left, they had Kyrie, and there's nobody on the roster now to me that it's like, well, he's reason to get really excited. You hope Darius Garland's that guy. You hope Kevin Porter Jr. can become that type of guy. You hope maybe Colin Sexton could be a guy who is, a player who's around when you're winning, but you don't know. There's still a lot of doubt about all of those players, as there should be. They're first, second year players, but you do not have, Chase, a dynamic player on this roster. You don't have a guy who the fans can't wait to see, who are excited to watch, and are tuning in or going to the games to find out more about. They just don't have that type of player right now.
And the Cavs aren't going to be trading their head coach John Beilein, are they? I mean, he's he's their coach. There, talks of would they fire him midseason or after the end of the season. He's their coach for the foreseeable future. Does that seem fair to say?
I don't know that he'll be the coach beyond this season. I don't know that he won't. But I don't know, they gave him a nice contract, but I guess in today's NBA, that doesn't really matter.
Well, especially in Cleveland, they're known for paying coaches well after they have the Browns have 3 coaches on payroll.
The Browns probably have a new coach by the time we finish this.
Oh,
but honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is. I'm sure that Kobe Altman is on board with with John Beilein. I don't know, where Dan Gilbert stands on that.
Less than ideal first season here. Let's move to the state of the team.
Yeah.
Sam, could this have gone worse for the Cavs in every aspect of not only on the court, but off the court, team, individual? It's just Sexton isn't developing. Garland, maybe is what people expected, but you didn't want to see it. Give us a bright spot. Like, it's just things are rough for the Cavs.
Yeah, I will say, to me, being in the locker room, I think that, the players seem like they're in good spirits, and not the type of good spirits where it's like they don't care if they win or lose. It's just, I think that there's, they like each other. The guys like each other. From everything I've gathered, they like Beilein okay. I don't know that obviously Kevin Love is thrilled with John Beilein. I don't know that Tristan is, but Tristan is a guy who's, excuse me, not going to rock the boat. He's been, he's, in terms of being a guy who's a leader and says the right thing, and he's just the kind of guy you like having around, which is sad if they do move him. He's a good guy, and he's a good, good teammate, and a good leader in the locker room. So he's just not, he's not a superstar by any stretch, or an all-star by any stretch. And you can't pay him like one. So that's their conundrum. But I think that, the culture, when you talk about culture, it's good. There's not a lot of, I don't know, there's no drama other than the occasional thing we hear reported. And I think they've gotten over all of that, whether it was the, slugs, or whether it was the Kevin Love having the tantrum at shoot around at Kobe Altman. I think that they've moved past all those things, and they've survived them, and they're doing just fine. So that's the bright spot. The bad news is they're not responding to the coach. They did at first, those first 9 games, 4-5, and everybody was they were playing with determination and grit. They were playing the type of basketball is making the fans proud, right?
Yeah. We were
now, yeah, right. And everybody was excited about what they might be able to do, but the wheels have come completely off the bus here in terms of what they're doing on the court. And I don't know. It's hard to tell what they're thinking, because they're watching the same stuff we are. So they can't be happy with it either. It's constant. It's not only losing. It's not just the 13-39. It's just the way that they're losing all the time. 11 straight at home. Right now, Chase, they've lost 11 straight at home. And just not the grit and determination, totally gone. And the defense is terrible.
Beilein struggles. Would you equate that to a college coach adjusting poorly to the NBA style, or an NBA style being way different than what the college coach expected? No one's questioning John Beilein's basketball knowledge, but is it just too hard of a jump for some people, and we're seeing that played out in front of us?
Yeah, Chase, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the guy's obviously a good coach. We saw what he did at Michigan. We saw what he did at West Virginia. They were always in, if not, in contention for a national championship. They were always in the NCAA tournament. They were a threat every year, and they played a style that works. But I think it's been a big, and it's not like where Brad Stevens came from Butler, where, he was a young guy and could make the adjustment. John Beilein's been coaching the same type of college game for 40 years, and in college, there is no drama, because the coach is king in college. If any sense of drama, I'll bench you. You won't play. You'll lose your scholarship. You're off the team, and there goes your shot at the pros. And in the NBA, it's big different. The NBA is a players' league. So, John Beilein has a great message. He has a great philosophy on coaching and philosophy on, how to just offense and defense. His philosophy works. We saw it work in the NBA for 9-10 games. Yeah. But when your players don't respond, I once had a general manager, Chase, tell me Mike Brown is a genius when it comes to coaching. He's an absolute genius. But guess what? If you can't get your players to listen to you and believe in you, all your X's and O's don't mean a thing because your players aren't responding, and right now I think that's part of what's going on with the Cavs. That said, they could listen to everything John Beilein has to say and respond perfectly and still be, maybe a 15, 16 win team. They just don't have the talent. That said, they're just not playing. I think to answer your question in a long story short is, yes, John Beilein, after 40 years of coaching the college game, has struggled a little bit or even a lot to adjust to the pro game. And I don't say that, as a criticism as much as that's just reality. And I personally think the guy's an excellent coach. It's just maybe he's not cut out for a team that doesn't look. If John Beilein were coaching the Los Angeles Lakers, everybody'd say how great he is. But you look at the roster right now in Cleveland, and he's just not. They're just not responding to him.
So as we continue the state of the team address, speak to Colin Sexton. What would you like to see out of Colin Sexton the last half of this year? We're essentially almost at the All-Star break. We have 2 more games to the All-Star break. What would you like to see out of Colin Sexton in the last half of the year? We're going to go through him, Garland, and Kevin Porter Jr. Colin Sexton first.
Chase, I'll tell you, let me start with the pros and cons of Colin. And I think the pros are the guy plays so hard every night. You don't see him hobbling off the court. You don't see him holding his back or, he doesn't miss games. I think he's a true competitor. He's a good guy. He is. He's a good guy, and I think that he is one of the guys who wants to do, really responds very well to coaching and Coach Beilein and Coach Bickerstaff. I think those are the pros, and obviously the kid can score. He can put the ball in the basket. Sometimes he's a volume scorer more than that, but regardless, he gets you points. And I think there's a lot to be said for all of that. Now, the negatives, we all know what they are. Obviously, he doesn't see the floor very well on offense. And I know he's not the starting point guard right now or whatever, but he just doesn't see the floor. Even though he's playing more of a shooting guard, he's more of a facilitator than anything else, or should be because of his size. So he should still help facilitate. That really the Cavs are running a 2-point guard offense is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's partially falls on Colin to keep the ball moving, not just score. And I just don't think I don't think he's a ball hog on purpose. I think that he can come across that way. I think that there will be times where I've seen him look over at Kevin Love or Darius Garland or somebody who's wide open, and he'll take the shot, and he kind of looks them off. So
yeah,
I just think he's used to playing that way. I think his assist numbers are up, and I don't even think it's about assist numbers. I think it's just about learning how to play winning basketball. And I think he's making small steps in that area. And I think to answer your question, what would I like to see more of him, or what the Cavs would like to see more of him, is to continue to take the steps that he's shown over the past few weeks of being a guy who moves the ball. Look, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, most players in the NBA can score, but are they winning numbers? Are they winning numbers, or are they empty calories? For years, Monte Ellis gave the league empty calories. Now, is Colin Sexton a Monte Ellis type? Is he going to fill it up, and put 20 points on the board and make zero difference when it comes to winning and losing? I don't know, but that's the fear with him right now.
That was amazing. That was the best I've ever heard. That was a great state of the address to.
Hey, that's a pretty good Should I stand back here and rip up paper while you're talking?
Well, that's going to be our Twitter followers. They're going to rip that. They're going to rip this address in half, Sam. So you don't have to worry about that. They'll pull a Pelosi and do that. So yeah, that's Darius Garland. Let's talk to Darius a little bit. Just what do you want to see out of Darius Garland in the last half of the year?
I think, you want him. The guy was drafted basically because of his outside shooting. You want to see him be aggressive, which I think he's making strides in that area. At first, he was really timid, which is totally understandable. But I think you want to see his shooting percentage go up. I think you want to see him shoot with more confidence. We see flashes of him just making such great passes, driving the lane, and throwing great passes. You just want to see him kind of break out a little bit, if not a lot. I think he has that potential, but then he'll have a game where he's invisible. So I would say just more consistency, which is a lot to ask from a rookie. Rookies by nature are inconsistent, especially when they're 20 years old. So just turned 20 last month. So I think just more consistency, especially more consistency shooting, and in his aggressiveness. Just believe in it, what you're doing, and go for it. And I just think that's the big thing.
Yeah, and Kevin Porter Jr.
As far as a rookie goes, Chase, he's been everything and more that you wanted. Remember last year at this time, people were calling him a top 10 pick. Well, he looks like he could have been a top 10 pick. I mean, he's athletic. Chase, with me, the only flaw that kid has shown right now is learning the pro game, and that's not a flaw for a rookie.
It just takes time.
Yeah.
And back to your point about at least the Cavs had Kyrie. I don't get that excited about Darius Garland.
No.
Sexton, there is something special about Kevin Porter Jr.
Right.
Whether it's an explosiveness or the way he carries him. Like, I think whatever it is, he could have it. That could be a centerpiece of a team. And he's the one that I think really, if he continues to develop, I think of who's the guy for the Nuggets who's really blooming off the past couple of weeks. He was injured. He was drafted really high, but he had a back injury.
Michael Porter Jr. Another
Yes.
Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Porter Jr. Yeah.
I mean, I really feel like very kind of similar art.
Yes.
If
Yes.
our Kevin Porter continues to develop, really could be this really special player. I didn't mean to hijack your answer, but I want to agree. I've been super impressed, and he's the one that I get I wonder how he's doing in this game. He's the player, really no one else.
I would say I would agree with you there, and I and it's okay that you hijacked my answer because I do a lot of stumbling, fumbling, and rambling. But I think that it's great because in terms of what you said, because you think about him as a guy who has that athleticism, he's got that edge, and that edge kind of is what teams were scared of. They thought maybe it would go the wrong way, but I think Kevin Porter Jr. has answered those critics already in terms of displaying that he knows how to control his emotions, and he does work hard at practice. These were all questions coming into the season. So if it wasn't for those questions, Chase, he would have been a lottery pick without a doubt. In fact, he may have been top 10. So everybody loves his upside, and he could become that type of dynamic player that you can help build, or that can help you build something good for the future.
I can promise you the best is yet to come. The Cavs may be struggling now, but only good things ahead. I mean, I guess it could get worse, but it's been a rough year and a half, couple years, and at least there is some plan for the future. At least we do have, let's see how these players develop. So, Sam, great work on the address. That was great. State of the team could be a lot stronger, but at least we have some things to look forward to. All right, we have 2 games until the All-Star break. We host the Clippers on Sunday, February 9th at 7:30, and then again, February 12th, we host the Hawks, and then it's the All-Star break. Sam, will the Cavs win more than 25 games this year? That's 12 more games.
How many? So they have what?
13 now. They're going to lose to the Clips and the Hawks.
I don't know if they'll lose the Hawks, but they're not. You know what they should do is they should play the Hawks at the end of the season. They should have a 4-team tournament between the Hawks, Knicks, Warriors, and Cavs, and whoever wins the tournament gets the number 1 pick.
Now,
but anyway, that's the only way I think to solve this whole lottery thing. But anyway, that's another subject. No, they're not going to win 25 games. They may win 20. I doubt it. They might. Last year I think they had 9 wins at this time, and they finished with what, 19. So I don't know. They closed the season. I'm pretty sure they got to go on another West Coast swing near the end of the year. I don't know. And then if they trade Tristan for young players or, draft pick and a guy who doesn't want to be here, who's going to get bought out or something, things could get on the court, could get worse for the time being. But no, they're not going to hit 25 wins. Even with Tristan, they wouldn't. So, Chase, I hate to make this prediction, but I think with Kevin Love probably not getting traded, if he doesn't get traded, we're going to see a lot of him on the sidelines too after the trade deadline, just because that's kind of been his history. So,
yeah,
I
look pretty on the bench wearing a suit, Kevin.
Right, and the one thing I will say is they can't continue down this road. They can't. You can't wait till 2023 to get the fans excited. By that time, you might as well just merge with the Indiana Pacers or something. I mean, you can't keep stinking. You just can't.
You heard it here first. Cavs merging with Pacers from Sports Illustrated.
Hey, you know what? They actually considered that in the 70s because the Cavs were so bad and attendance was so bad and things were going so bad, they almost merged. I think that might even been in the Ted Stepien era. Like early 80s or whatever, they almost merged. There was talk that they might merge with the Pacers. So I don't think they do that now. That was just a joke. But you can't continue to stink forever. You just can't. It's bad for business. And the NBA is a business with a lot of money involved. And the bottom line, it's a very bottom line business, is you lose a lot of money when you lose a lot, and you make a lot of money when you win a lot, or at least put a product on the court that the fans are going to be proud of. And right now, the Cavs have not done that. I know that there's sports writers and commentators and all that say, well, this is all part of the process, and it is. That's fine. But this process, you don't get 5 years in the NBA. You just don't. You get like 2 or 3. And if it doesn't work, then everything falls apart. The GM gets fired, the coach gets fired, and you start all over. So they've only got a couple more years of this at most for this process or plan or whatever it is to be seen through by the current people in charge. They just do. I've been around long enough to know this isn't going to last forever. It can't, or the people who are running things now won't be around to see it, finish.
Last year, the Cavs were 19-63. This year already, the Cavs are 13-39. I think
they'll win 22.
22. I'll say 25. Whoever loses has to buy the other person dinner. Let's do that.
As long as it's McDonald's or Wendy's dollar menu.
That's fine. That's fine. Well, that does it for this edition of Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. If you have any questions, send them, tweet us at Cavs on the Break. We'll do the best we can to get back with you. And maybe, hey, even do a mailbag episode. You never know. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Cavs on the Break. We always follow back. Shout out to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Also, shout out to Sports Illustrated for putting this up on their website. Sam, shouts to you for joining the show. You can follow Sam on Twitter at Amico Hoops. Catch all of his work and writings on Sports Illustrated. Breaking news, insider info. Do not miss out. Sam, any final thoughts, brother?
Just one. Mike Breen, take us out!
Congratulations, Cleveland. Your decades-long wait is finally over. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.